Are you bag holding some Cosmos ecosystem tokens like Juno, Atom, Stars, Osmo, just to name a few, and you're wondering why the snap are these tokens literally down only? Like, I get it. The markets are down 80%, 70%, but my stinking token, Juno for example, is down over 95%. And you're just sitting there like, man, what is going on? Well, there are a mix of different factors with this. But in particular, for most of the Cosmos tokens, it has to do with the Osmosis DEX. And it's creating a slow rug on the Cosmos ecosystem. I don't think it's on purpose, I don't think it's intentional, but the way the tokenomics are laid out, this is causing a slow rug on the Cosmos ecosystem. Let me show you some data points so you guys can understand why this is creating this effect. As you can see here, Osmosis is paying out over $500,000 in incentives every single day. And as you can see here, Osmosis is bringing in $22,000 every single day. You don't have to be a mathematician to understand that. Paying $500,000 and only receiving $22,000, that's not a profit. So this $480,000 or $500,000 if you want to call it in the Osmo emissions. Now those emissions are denominated in the Osmo token. So as long as the farmers are farming that token and they don't decide to sell, well, it's technically staying inside the ecosystem. But we already know it's a bear market and we all know what yield farmers do. They tend to want to dump, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just taking profits and practicing safe yield farming. So how does this affect the other Cosmos ecosystem coins? Well, let's take a look at their LP pairs. As you can see, most of the pools are paired against the Osmo token, and I've filtered it based on the highest liquidity to the lowest liquidity. And you can see the highest liquidity pools are denominated in the Osmo token. Of course, having something in Bitcoin, ETH, USDC, that's not going to have as much as an effect. However, when you get into something like Stars, Juno, Ion, BLD, the tokens that have their deepest liquidity on the Osmosis DEX, this is where the issues are going to come into play. The reason for this is when you're paired against the Osmo token, there is going to be a rebalance that occurs. If you've never provided liquidity before, a rebalance is basically when one of the tokens goes down, the other token is sold off in that liquidity pool in order to rebalance the pool. Unless you're in Uniswap v3 with concentrated liquidity, these pools always have to stay at 50%. Yes, I understand Osmosis allows you to create customized pools that are not just 50-50, but for the most part, the pools are 50-50. So as the Osmo token, which is being emitted, is being sold, this is causing the token price to come down. What's having to happen to rebalance the pool is that the other token is needing to be sold off to rebalance. So this creates that negative price action. Of course, the flywheel works in the opposite way as well. So if people are buying the Osmo token, you are going to have impermanent loss in that aspect. But you have to understand, in order for the Osmo token to even start to go up in price, there has to be more buy pressure than there is sell pressure. So if half of those farmers were selling the Osmo incentives, let's say they ended up being $250,000 worth, there has to be more than $250,000 coming to buy the Osmo token to prop it up in price. And as you can see, it's a bear market. Liquidity is leaving crypto and it's a risk-off environment. And if there's no additional buyers in place and the pools are constantly rebalancing, you'll have something that looks like a typical yield farm. And this is a chart of a typical yield farm. The emissions basically dilute the token to zero. And this will happen with the other tokens if there is no additional buy pressure. And you can technically say if the Osmo token goes to zero, all of the liquidity in that pool paired with it is going to go to zero. If you go back to UST and the Luna collapse, when everything went into zero, any LP pool you had with any of those tokens, they basically were at zero. Now, I'm not saying Osmosis is going to zero and it has the same tokenomics as a lot of these yield farming coins, but currently in this phase with the type of market conditions that we have it is creating this type of situation. Now, I do understand there is a maximum supply for the Osmo token and there is a halvening schedule. But right now, it is bleeding out liquidity. If you take a look at a chart comparing some of the Cosmos ecosystem coins, you can see here most of them are just down significantly. I did add a couple of other Cosmos ecosystem tokens that don't specifically have most of the liquidity on Osmosis. And as you can see here, they're down 60, 54, and 51% respectively. Juno is down significantly, as in 89%, because on top of Osmosis emissions, staking rewards, they also have JunoSwap emissions. So people are dumping the Juno token there. So the effect is amplified. Hence why you have the price action that looks like this. And this technically creates that slow rug effect. This is why most of the yield farms die, because the token that is paired in that LP pair is being emitted to an oblivion. When that happens, people are dumping that. That creates the rebalancing in the LP pool, and if that token goes to zero, you technically have no money. If you've never yield farmed before, try it with like 50 bucks, 100 bucks, see how it works. And then you can understand a little more how these mechanics work. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is not to create FUD on any ecosystem. This is just trying to be real with you to understand tokenomics and understand why it's super important for a protocol to manage its tokenomics and emissions. Especially right now in a bear market, if you're not a profitable protocol and you're just bleeding out money, it's going to be rough on your protocol. And if you guys have your funds on an exchange, what are you doing? Get your funds off the exchange. Ledger actually came out with a new hardware wallet. It's actually much better than this doohickey. I mean, this is basically a flip phone. But this one is looking sauce. I'm planning on getting one of these suckers. It's literally like a mini iPhone. It's pretty sweet, but instead of having like these little buttons that you click, you actually have a digitized screen. If you want to pre-order the Ledger stacks, sometimes Ledger gives me discounts. If you guys want to, check out the link in the description below. You'll be supporting the channel and securing your assets at the same time. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Let's hit you guys with that wisdom one-liner. Proverbs chapter 10, verses 26. As vinegar to the teeth and smoke to the eyes, so are sluggards to those who send them. Peace.